The construction crew outside my window speaks Romanian and discussed breaking in tonight. They had no idea I understood every word of their plan. The scaffolding went up outside my apartment building on a Monday morning in late September. I was working from home when the metal clanging started around 7. My apartment was on the 3rd floor of a 6-story building in Brooklyn, and the whole facade needed renovation. Around 9, I gave up trying to work and walked to the window. 3 men were working on the scaffolding directly outside, wearing hard hats and safety vests. They were discussing something. Then one of them said something that made me freeze with my coffee cup halfway to my lips. He was speaking Romanian. I grew up in Bucharest until I was 12, when my parents immigrated to the United States. We spoke Romanian at home for years. It had been at least 5 years since I'd had a real conversation in Romanian, but I understood it perfectly. The language was still there in my brain, waiting. The man outside was complaining about the heat, normal construction worker conversation. Over the next few days, I found myself half listening to their conversations while I worked. They talked about soccer games, their families, how expensive everything was in New York. By Wednesday, I'd started to recognize their voices. There was Andre, the oldest one who seemed to be in charge, then Christian, younger and always complaining. The other two were Georga and Mihai, quieter guys who mostly just followed instructions. They arrived every morning at 7 and worked until 5. I'd gotten used to the noise. On Thursday afternoon, I was on a conference call when I heard Andre say something that made me lose track of what my client was saying. He'd switched to a lower, more serious tone. He said in Romanian that he'd finished checking all the apartments on this side of the building. Most people worked during the day, so the units were empty. He'd been able to see inside through the windows while pretending to inspect the brickwork. I muted my microphone and moved closer to the window, my heart beating faster. Christian asked which apartments looked worth it. Andre said the one on the 5th floor, apartment 5C, had expensive electronics, and the woman kept her purse on the kitchen counter. This apartment 3B also looked promising. Good laptop, nice furniture, probably jewelry in the bedroom. The owner worked from home but seemed to leave for hours at a time. I couldn't respond to my client. I was listening to these men plan to rob my apartment. Christian said they should do it tonight after work. Mihai could create a distraction on the 1st floor while Andre and Georga went in through the windows. The scaffolding made it easy. Nobody would suspect construction workers coming back at night. My hands were shaking as I made an excuse to my client about technical difficulties. I hung up and sat there trying to process what I'd just heard. These men had been casing the building for days. They knew everyone's schedules, what valuables we had, which apartments would be easiest to access, and they had no idea that one person in the building understood every word. I grabbed my phone to dial 911, then stopped. What would I tell them? That I'd overheard workers speaking Romanian about breaking in? The police would ask for proof, and I had nothing but my word. They could claim I'd misunderstood. I needed something concrete. I opened my laptop and downloaded a recording app. I positioned it near the window and started recording. Volume as high as it would go. Outside, Andre was explaining in Romanian that they'd come back at 11 tonight when most people would be asleep. They'd park 2 blocks away and approach through the alley. Georga asked about security cameras and Andre laughed, saying there were only cameras at the main entrance, none in the alley. They'd been working here for 4 days and nobody had questioned them once. People saw construction workers and assumed they belonged. Christian mentioned his cousin had a van to transport the stolen items. Andre said they should hit at least 5 apartments. Start on the 5th floor with 5C, work down to the 3rd floor, take only high-value items, get in and out within 2 hours. My recording app was capturing everything. I pulled out my phone and positioned it to take video through the window, getting clear shots of their faces. Andre was in his late 40s with graying hair and a thick mustache. Christian was maybe 30 with a scar on his left cheek. Georgi was heavy-set with a shaved head. Mihai was the youngest, mid-20s with dark curly hair. I recorded them working for several minutes while the audio continued capturing their conversation. They were discussing which windows had the weakest locks. Andre said most of the old windows would pop open with just a screwdriver. Christian asked about apartment 3B, my apartment, and Andre said the bedroom window looked easiest. It faced the scaffolding directly, and the lock was old, in and out in 5 minutes. I watched him point directly at my bedroom window, and that's when the real nightmare began. The rest of the story is on my channel or linked below.